I'm Raborn Johnson for Sample Library Review, and today I'm checking out Quantum 2.0 by Emergence Audio. With a new interface, more waveforms for the LFO, and a few nice new features, the pad machine known as Quantum is back and even better. If you need long and evolving pads and drones, Quantum is a great place to turn. Quantum 2.0 is available for both the free and full versions of Contact 6.4 or above. The installation size is 7.4 gigabytes, and it includes over 150 presets across 9 curated preset categories. Quantum 2.0 is normally available from Emergence Audio for $79, but is currently on a limited time offer of $59. Some of you might remember that a while back, our own Pete Checkley checked out Quantum by Emergence Audio. So today I'm back because Quantum has gotten an update. It is now up to version 2.0, and there's some nice new features that have been added that I want to review with you today. First of all, there's a new interface, so if you've seen Quantum before, you're going to notice that the interface looks a little bit different. There's quite a bit more going on. There's additional controls, additional LFO options, and to me that's probably the biggest change in Quantum, is the new LFO options. Previously, you didn't have a choice of waveform, and now you do. You can use a sine wave, a triangle, a sawtooth, a square, and a random wave. And in addition to that, there's actually, with the sync, you have a sync option for your DAW. So instead of just having to use, a frequency, you can actually sync it to your DAW, and you have control of the rate right here. So you can not only control it with, let me hit the sync button here, not only with, going to 2 bars or 1 bar, but it actually has triplet options now too, which is really nice. In addition to that, there's some additional impulse responses for the onboard reverb, and you'll notice that there's also some link switches for the different high pass and low pass filters and some of the other controls. So really good new stuff going on. I think the big change you're probably going to notice is in the pulses and in some of the movement that you can get because of the difference in waveforms and some of the syncing options. So I don't want to retread too much ground that Pete's already gone over, but we are going to share some of the presets with you, and then especially show off how the new engine is actually working. So let's go ahead and start out just for a good baseline of comparison. Let's start out with some of the infinite pads. Now, for those who are not familiar with Emergence Audio's Quantum, there's actually several different kinds of presets. There's the infinite pads, which are really kind of the starting point of Quantum. Those are the presets that really kind of show off what Quantum is all about, those rich, evolving pads. But then you also have a correlated section, which is kind of variations on the same layer. So you'll actually have the same layer in both sides, but there'll be variations to really be able to use that same sound, but to kind of mix it up. The pulses, of course, really utilizing that LFO waveform to bounce back and forth between the two layers. The drones, which, are those low and especially rich kind of bottom end sounds. And you do have multis and dimensions. Dimensions are just kind of the individual patches that you'll see here. It's a patch from that you can explore. And of course, you've got kind of, your initialized patches, which are your main drones and main pads. So let's go ahead and just start out just as a baseline with a few of the pads and just give you an idea of what Quantum's all about. And then I really want to dive into the LFO. One of the things you'll notice with Quantum are these just super long waveforms. You can see how slowly they're moving as I'm playing. You can literally hold some of these down for like 3 and 4 minutes and get a completely different sound. So if you are into underscore work for, scoring to picture, this is fantastic for that. Also for ambient tracks especially. Let's just go through a few of these to give you an idea of what we have in the infinite pads. And again, Pete's went through some of these, but we're just going to quickly touch on a few of them. Calamity Infinite Pad. Hold those out, you can really hear them evolve. Really, really nice. Let's do entropy. You can see that one really takes advantage of the LFO going back and forth. Really, really great. All right, let's see. How about quiet moments? That one was really, really quiet. I'm not sure how well you could hear that, but it really is quiet moments. I mean, you could put that underneath a piano and just really, really have something special. Vast. I like the sound of that. Let's give that a whirl. If you do any kind of emotional scoring work, like documentaries or emotional scenes, I mean, wow, it doesn't get much better than that. Just putting that in the background with just some gentle, rich reverbed piano is just, it's fantastic. Okay, warped module. nice. Okay. Let's go ahead and move on. I want to jump straight to the pulses because we want to play with some of these new waveforms. So let's go ahead and start with just one of the presets. Let's see what it sounds like, and then let's change the waveforms and see if we can get some different sounds going on. Okay, so that has kind of a gentle, smooth, bouncing action between the two layers. But let's take it and do something sharper with a triangle wave, and let's see what we get then. Okay, let's see, and you've got your depth control here that's at 100%. We've got the actual modulator that goes back and forth between the two layers at 100%. I want to have a little fun with this one. I'm going to turn on the detune for the Frozen in the Sky layer, and we're just going to detune that very gently, maybe 15%. And let's see if we get something interesting. And in the midst of that, let's do a square wave. And I want to take that and I want to speed it up to an 1/8. Let's do an 1/8 note. And we have something completely different. How cool is that? Okay, let's do something like, let's do something with the random waveform and see what we have there. Really nice kind of lo-fi broken sound. I like that. Yeah, so you can see you can really do some interesting stuff. And, you know, all of this is assignable to your MIDI controller. So you can simply right-click on something like the depth control, and you can actually do that in real time. So just to give you an example, I'm going to do that now. And let's see, I'm going to assign that to this control. So I've got an external controller that I'm just playing with right now. I'm going to move it in. So it's really easy to get that kind of degraded sound. But let's go back to the square. And I'm going to turn the rate down a little bit. Let's get it on quarter notes and see what we have. So not only can you evolve the sound, but you can introduce that LFO to really, spice it up a little bit, which is really, really cool. Another neat feature is that you also can assign the LFO to things like the cutoff. For instance, if you want to do, a high pass or low pass filter, and you can actually link those. So for instance, I could click on the link button here and link the high pass and low pass filters so that as I assign one layer, the other takes on the exact same parameters. So anytime you see the waveform, like we're on the square right now, or I change it to sol, anytime you see the waveform below a parameter, it lets you know that it's assignable. So I'm going to click that, and we're going to put the high pass filter on, and I can control just how much of that I want to do. You can see here, I'm just kind of rotating that. Not sure if you can assign these independently. Looks like they're going up. Oh, okay, there we go. So now if that's interesting. Okay. So let's start here and see what we have. And I'm actually going to assign that for fun. Let's go ahead and assign that to a MIDI controller. And let's put some resonance on there. So you can see you can really get some interesting effects. You can really change things up pretty dramatically. So let's go ahead and go through some other pulses and let's see what we can do with those. Okay, so let's go ahead and make that a sawtooth and make sure our depth's at 100%. Our rate is an 8, that's good. So let's go ahead and I'm going to change the pan. And let's do, I don't know, let's put it right in the center and let it go back and forth. And I'm going to do that for both layers. And let's just see what we get now. Yeah, so you can see you can really change that sound. Let's go to the triangle. Let's take one of the layers and I'm just going to start moving that out. Reintroducing it. Let's go to the other one. I mean, that's such an interesting pulse. It's just not your standard fare of, super syncopated, super rhythmic. It's kind of messy and dirty, and I like that. I think that's really cool. One of the things I want to point out that I really, really like on the interface is this random button. This can completely change everything you hear. So let's just do a few random hits and see what we come up with. So you can see it even randomized the sound because before we had 2 catalysts here. So let's do it again and see what we have. Once again, it's changing up the sound. All right, let's try it one more time. So you can see you can really get just some interesting sounds just really quickly. It's super easy engine to work with, which I really like. And this one, you can see it's got the solve wave, so we've got kind of a, let's see if we can smooth that out and see what it sounds like. Okay, that's super cool. Let's try the square. Maybe the random? All right, just for fun, let's go ahead and hit the random button on that and see what we have. And one more time. I mean, the random is just, it's not slight changes. It makes a big change. It's not subtle, it's big. Makes a big change to the sound. Okay, so let's go through just a few more things. How about we go into, let's go into some of the dimensions. And the arcs are an example of a sound that it starts, basically the attack is delayed, so you get this kind of evolving, moving from, kind of a crescendo sound that starts really quietly and then crescendos into a louder sound. So let's see what we have there. Do a couple more of those. Let's try Seeker. Another thing I would like to show you, let's go to the correlated sounds. And just as a kind of a refresher, the correlated sounds are kind of variations on the same layer. So you'll see as we go to that, I'm just going to pick one at random here, Emerge. And you can see we have the exact same sound, but there's variations between them. So the layers are not attached. You have a high pass on one, a low pass on one, for example. You can see that this one, it looks like the tuning has went down an octave. So let's see what we've got here. This is interesting. Actually, let's start, just for fun, let's start with only one layer, and then we'll introduce the second layer. So really, really quiet. Let's put that second layer in there and see what we get. So you can see you can have a pretty significant difference between the two layers and the way they sound. Really, really neat. Another thing I do want to show you is the effects. So in addition to the changes with the LFO and the fact that, there's new waveforms, there's the triplet option, there's, some things on the main menu. In addition to that, there's also some additional impulse responses that have been added to the convolution reverb. So now it has over 50 impulse responses, I believe. And in addition to that, one of the things I really love is you have the LFO control below some of the effects parameters. So you can actually assign those to be controlled via the LFO, which is really, really cool and can introduce some kind of interesting and unique sounds. So as a refresher, let's pull up that sound again. Actually, let's try one other sound just so that we can get something fresh in here for fun. So first, let's see what this sounds like by itself. Well, it's probably not a good example. Cool sound, but not a great example for this. So let's see, maybe thin air drone. Let's try that. Okay, I'm striking out. Let's go back. Let's go back to the infinite pads as an example. It's not the great. I want to find a good sound to really show you the difference in reverb and the difference in the effects and how you can modulate those. So let's, we've got the convolution on. First of all, let's go ahead and listen to that. Okay, so let's do a different impulse response. And then maybe let's do something like a depol. And I want to introduce some delay. So let's turn the delay up and let's sync that. And yeah, I think an 1/8 is good. Let's make sure. Oh, that's the triplet. Let's see. We want to take that to just a regular 1/8. There we go. And now I'm going to introduce some saturation. So let's turn that on. Which is really cool. Now, what's cool is not only do you have saturation, but you also have distortion, which is, a more extreme version of saturation. So let's go ahead and turn that on. Let's link it to the sync and let's do this. Let's see what we have. And bits, I'm thinking that must be a bit crush. So let's turn that on and see what we have. So you can see you can vary the sound, by attaching these to the LFO, you can really kind of evolve that sound. And that's really what Quantum has always been about. It's about long evolving pads, long evolving textures, long evolving sounds. So instead of just holding a static pad and, holding sustained notes that just do the same thing over and over and over again, with Quantum, not only do you get in some cases, super duper long samples in each of the layers, but by the use of this LFO and modulating between the two layers in kind of an evolving way, you end up with movement and a sound that doesn't just stay static, a sound that's dynamic. And especially for underscore work, that can really help carry a scene. It just adds emotion, which I really, really like. So that motion adds emotion, which is what you want when you're doing underscore work. So anyway, that's Quantum 2.0. Again, the main changes that you'll see here are, the new interface, especially the fact that you have these new waveforms for the LFO. You have the triplet option when you're syncing for the LFO. You have toggles on the layers now. So instead of you having to click the down arrow, you can actually, or the down menu, you can actually just click the arrows to toggle back and forth. You have filter switches that you can actually link. So you'll see that if I set something over here, right now it's independent, but if I hit the link button, now they work together, which is really good. And once again, on the effects page, you have now over 50 impulse responses for the reverb and a nice toggle switch on that as well. So that's all of the updates to Quantum that have just taken a really good pad instrument and just made it better. So go check it out on Emergence Audio. If you already own Quantum, then you need to go check it out right now because this is actually a free update for you. If not, then go check out Quantum. And I think if you're looking for something for your underscore work that's just nice evolving textures, pads, with motion and emotion, this is a good library to check out. Thanks for checking out Quantum 2.0 with me today. So what do you think? Is this something you would use in your own music? If so, how would you use it? Comment below and let us know your thoughts. Please like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure to check out samplelibraryreview.com for more news and reviews, and to stay in the know about weekly sales via our weekly deal compressor.